Good morning and welcome to Practical Christian Lessons. We're going to be going over Wisdom of Sirach, chapter 36 today. But first, just a quick announcement. This past Saturday, we had our first live stream, so be sure to go to live streams in the channel and check that out. If I have it set up correctly, I'll have the video of the content that I talked about that day up on the channel itself. And then you'll see different tabs when you go to channels. Of course, there's videos and live streams. For some reason, live streams don't populate in videos. So if there's anyone who's going to be up early enough for the Q&A, then we'll have a Q&A section. Otherwise, it will just be a video, and we'll find out. I'm going to have to get up earlier than expected for the live stream. So I won't be surprised if no one's there on a Saturday morning. But if anyone who did show up, thank you. And check out our community tab and keep an eye on that each month to see when the next one's going to be. Our plan is to do one live stream a month, but there's no set schedule for it. Chapter 36. Have mercy on us, O Lord, the God of all, and look upon us, and put your fear on all the nations. Raise your hand against foreign nations, and let them see your power. As in us you have been sanctified before them, so in them you may be made great before us. Let them know you as we also have known you. For there is no God but you, O Lord. Renew your signs and work fresh wonders. Glorify your hand and your right arm. Stir up your anger and pour out your wrath. Drive away the adversary and destroy the enemy. Hasten the time and remember your oath, and let people declare your mighty works. Let him who survives be devoured in your fiery wrath, and may those who harm your people meet destruction. Crush the heads of the rulers of the enemies who say, there is no one but us. Gather together all the tribes of Jacob, and grant them their inheritance as from the beginning. Have mercy upon your people, called by your name, O Lord, upon Israel whom you have likened to your firstborn son. Have pity on the city of your sanctuary, Jerusalem, the place of your rest. Fill Zion with the celebration of your divine virtue, and your people with your glory. Give testimony to what you created in the beginning, and raise up the prophecies spoken in your name. Reward those who wait for you, and let your prophets be found trustworthy. Hear, O Lord, the prayer of your suppliants, according to the blessings of Aaron over your people, and all on earth will know that you are the Lord, the God of the ages. The stomach eats any kind of food, but some food is better than others. As the palate tastes the flavor of game, so an understanding heart detects lying words. A crooked heart will cause grief, but a man with great experience will pay him back. A woman will accept any son, but one daughter is better than another. A beautiful woman gladdens a man's face and surpasses his every desire. If there is mercy and gentleness on her tongue, her husband is not like other men. He who gains a wife gets his best possession, a helper like himself and a pillar of support. Where there is no wall, the property will be plundered, and where a man has no wife, he will wander around and groan. Who will trust a well-equipped thief who skips from city to city? Who will trust a man who has no home and lodges wherever night overtakes him? And this is one of those spots where I look at their chapter breaks and verse breaks, and I'm confused because 1 through 17 is clearly a prayer, and then 18 through 27 is like super practical wisdom. I'm just like, I feel like you could have put another division in there and just made chapter 36 the prayer. I'm going to have to do a study one day on the mindset behind these breaks and verses. But we are going to focus on the prayer part, verses 1 through 17. And for me, that's just because it makes me think of a revival prayer, really. And I'm not thinking like the big tent, get a bunch of people together, have a giant worship service sort of revival. I'm talking about revivals proper, where it's a movement of the Holy Spirit. I know recently some people have looked to Asbury Theological Seminary, or Asbury College, because I don't think it was the seminary, I think it was the chapel across the street in Kentucky, and then I think it was 2023 when they had the huge revival series of people were just in there constantly worshiping. And that's possible. It's possible it was a revival. I'm not going to dismiss it. I think if it's going to revival, it's going to fall in the category of the Holy Spirit has poured out this sort of deposit, if you will, and we'll see the fruits of that down the line. Because revivals have come in a lot of ways throughout the ages. Of course, we think of the great revivals, John Wesley in his unintentional, or rather intentional awakening, and that was the 1700s, and the huge revival movement that he was a spearhead of, and that the Lord properly used him through. Of course, I'm a Methodist, so that's where I'm going to go. But we in the Western world, you'll definitely hear a lot of people praying for revival right now. And as we've, I don't know, past 50, 60 years, the church has been on a gradual decline in the West. So I think it's definitely something to keep in mind. And not just necessarily like I mentioned my speculations on Asbury, if it's going to be revival. I think it's going to be that thing where the seeds have been planted and we'll see it grow in years. But there's also times where it is a sudden revival, where the Holy Spirit comes out and pours out just abundant grace, and we see numbers grow and swell and new members of the faithful just joining by the herds. And there's also times where you see it's just like a strengthening of a body that's there, of giving them endurance in the time of persecution to stand firm and stand strong in the face of adversity, which I think is what you see often in the East. I think if you're a little disheartened about how the Western church is doing, look to the Eastern church, and the global South, as it's called. Look at Africa, look at South China, really China in general, Middle East, where the church is there and it's doing strong. It's a beautiful thing to see, even in the midst of persecutions, in the midst of hard times. And when we in the West would have so many more worldly luxuries, we are not doing as well. And you would think it'd be the opposite, where we have freedom of, at least here in America, of every kind you can think of. We have abundant resources. We live lives of luxury. And yet, here we are. We're the ones who are struggling on the front of the church. I think it's for a good reason, but that's a video for another time. And I think it's important right now as a church whole to be praying for revival in the West and for strength in the rest of the church, where it is doing well but is under persecution. And of course, right, keep an eye there, keep a healthy amount of focus there, have hope in what the Spirit's doing there, but be focused on where you're at now. And we all have our little spots where we're plugged into. Normally your physical location, unless you're a very exceptional individual, where God has physically placed you is also going to be where, at least for the time being, your ministry is likely to be. Whether that's lay ministry, whether that's clergy, whatever it is. So keep an eye on the global church and just see how the Holy Spirit moves, where it's doing well, and take hope in that, and focus on and pray for revival where you are, and for guidance in where your exact ministry is going to be. Kind of rambly, but I think that's pretty normal here. I think you guys are used to it by now. That's my encouragement to you guys today, and we'll see you next time.